And then we also had an acceptance, somehow, that Scotland's got a great record on international human rights. Well, that's not what I remember 6 years ago, when this Parliament was debating the £10 billion Sino-Fortune deal, the China Railway Company No. 3 engineering group, and the human rights abuses in Africa. We've not heard that today. We heard it 6 years ago, and the government shamefacedly had to rip up that agreement that the First Minister had signed, even though the Norwegian Oil Fund had blacklisted the China Railway Group several years before because of widespread corruption. Even though Amnesty International had published a report that tied the China Railway Group to illegal forced evictions in Africa. Even though all of that had been on the record and available, the Scottish Government turned a blind eye and signed this £10 billion deal with Sino-Fortune. Turned out, by the way, all they owned was a pub in the middle of England. So even then, the Scottish Government were duped. But then if you look at the treatment of the Dalai Lama when he visited a few years earlier, the First Minister at the time refused to meet him after pressure from the Chinese officials. So much for human rights. And then look at the jailed Qatari poet. He was not mentioned by Hamza Yusuf when he did a visit over there in 2013. He was advised not to. He was not advised to mention a very important human rights issue. And it seems quite clear at the time that this government were prepared to turn a blind eye in order to secure the finance from these countries. Now, I don't think that's a glowing human rights record. So I think we should hear less about Scotland's global reputation on human rights, especially when that is the track record of this government.